Running Up the Score.
You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
Another question for you, and I'll give my answer as well. And again, this it comes up as perfect timing, especially with Urban Meyer being fired. But this also goes in tune with the Giants and Jets, really. So now, everybody talks about Joe Judge and how he, is trying to replicate Bill Belichick, and it's kind of, basically he's landing face first when it comes down to that. But what kind of head coach do you want? Is it an irate coach, whereas all they do is, up and down the sideline, screaming and yelling, ripping their team in press conferences, this and that, whatever it is? Or would you rather a very positive coach like Joe Judge has been, when no matter how bad they've looked, he always tries to put some kind of positive twist on it, but just sounds so bad when he's doing it? Because, lately it's just been like, well, I've been seeing some positives in this. I think we're on the right path. But meanwhile, you gave up 38 points and only scored 7. It's something like that. Would you rather that positive coach, or would you rather that irate, crazy coach, or kind of in the middle?
I think a balance is definitely needed in that kind of standpoint. I think, but for the most part, I don't ever want to see my coach lashing out. I'll be honest. It just shows, it's just a childish way to act. You're angry and you can't control your anger, and therefore you feel like you need to lash out. That's a child that acts like that. I don't think a grown-ass man does it, and I don't even mean to throw that in there, but it's the truth. Yeah. And, you're supposed to be a professional. Obviously, you are the head coach of a football team in the National Football League. People know who you are, or people are going to find out who you are. And, you need to set a good example. You cannot be acting irate and screaming and yelling, throwing headsets. And I'm not talking about one coach when I say this. I've seen plenty of coaches do it, and they're childish. All of them. They're very, very childish. Even you saw with Urban Meyer, throwing his coaches, assistant coaches under the bus on certain standpoints of the game. Like, it's just not the way to act. And unfortunately, look where it got him. But when I see a coach acting like that, even in the very minimal amount, I see it as a childish act. You need to be able to be a professional at all times. And even if you are frustrated, and there are times as a head coach to be frustrated, I'm not arguing that at all. But there's a way to act on the camera and off the camera. Honestly, just go have a topic of conversation with any politician you ever met, and they'll teach you how to be in front of camera. Yeah. It's very simple. Oh, yeah.
They're the biggest.
It's really not hard. You keep a professional state, and obviously, if you're angry, obviously the people you're angry at aren't talking to you while you're on, in front of a microphone after the game, like the news and the media outlets and all that. There's no reason to be frustrated with them. They obviously haven't done anything. They have to ask those questions. But if you're really showing frustration, obviously you're frustrated by what you saw on the field. Yeah. Therefore, your frustration stays in the locker room with the players and with the other coaches. You don't try to lash out with the media and say things. I've seen coaches do it before, and I'll be honest, out of all of them that I've ever seen, some of them you still see to this day. Yeah. The clips of them and stuff. They make me laugh. And that's exactly what it does for a lot of people. A lot of people laughed at you while you were doing that. That one gentleman saying, they are who we thought they were.
Oh, yeah.
The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Danny Green.
Yeah. See how I don't know his name?
He was.
You see how I don't know his name? No, but let's seriously point this out. You see that my point here. What I'm trying to say is that obviously you acting like that. I laughed at that.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. But I laughed at that when that was happening live.
Yeah.
And it was.
Well, that was great.
It was great, but it was him showing his emotion with the media, and the media is going to have a field day. If you think I'm laughing at you, just know that the media members are having a full field day with it.
Well, this is perfect for you. Did you like Rex Ryan as a head coach?
I did, but I could see where you're going with that. And
let's make sure we play like the New York Jets and not some slap team. That's what I want to see tomorrow. Do we understand what the I want to see tomorrow? Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Obviously, look where it got us.
Well, I mean, you did go to 2 AFC Championship games.
Yes, but that's because he was a good coach.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's about actually like knowing like the X's and O's factor of the game. That he was a specialist at that. There's no doubt, and everyone knew it.
And I'm surprised that he's not.
I'm surprised he's still not a coach either. I mean, I'll be honest, I can't believe there's not a team out there that wouldn't mind him as a head coach, defensive coordinator, defensive specialist.
I mean, definitely defensive specialist.
Absolutely. He was very good at writing up blitzes. Ask any of the players. And the Jets did not have...
He was a linebackers coach.
The Jets did not have a lot of talent on that defensive side the years they played well.
They didn't.
They just played the game the right way.
Yeah. I mean,
but he was lashed, and he would, but like even so, majority of the stuff you saw about Rex Ryan, him lashing out, is because they did Hard Knocks. If they would have never done Hard Knocks, he kept a very professional state.
Yeah, I mean,
in front of the media all the time.
You saw him on the sideline, loses.
Yes, and that's where I would have an issue. It's like, dude, you need to be able to control yourself in this. Obviously, you're frustrated. And I understand that.
Yeah.
That's why these coaches put like a little thing over their face when they are talking. Everyone talks about, oh, no, they're calling out plays. Yeah, they're calling out plays. But I'm telling you right now, if they need to scream at someone, I promise you it'll be going beyond one of those. So
to me, in terms of, a head coach, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I want a balanced, I want to see him pissed off when he should be pissed off. And I want to see, I don't want to see him in a press conference ripping a player or ripping a coach. There's subtle jabs that you can take without it really being a big thing. Now, mind you, like we said, the media always tries to spin anything that happens in the worst way. It's never in the good way. If you ever understand that, I mean, we should really, especially what's going on in the world now, we should see how the media works. This is the perfect time to see how the media works. Everything's going to be spun into the worst way. So when you see players or coaches say something, they're always going to try to spin it. So I like the coaches that
I've seen coaches argue with a quarterback on the sideline, and it becomes the only story after the game. That's why you cannot act like that on the sideline in front of these cameras. Again, it's understandable to be frustrated, but it has to go within the locker room. You want to show your quarterback frustration? Halftime is going to happen.
Yeah. Perfect time.
Or the end of the game, regardless.
Perfect example is that in that Man in the Arena, the Tom Brady documentary. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. So far, I think they're through 4 or 5 episodes. In the last episode, they have Bill O'Brien. So each episode, they have different guys that played a role in the year that they're talking about, and they have them where they're interviewing them basically. So this episode was Giselle, Bill O'Brien, and I forget who else, but Bill O'Brien played a big part. So they mentioned a time where it was one of the games. I forget what it was. I don't know if it was a playoff game or it was just a regular season game. They called a play. Brady was expecting the wide receiver to, basically make some kind of move to get him the ball. Brady ends up throwing the pick. And then on the sideline, Brady goes to that wide receiver and goes, dude, you have to keep running. Bill O'Brien comes over and goes, why don't you shut the F up, to Tom Brady. Now, that's ballsy is not even the word, for a coach like that to say that to Tom Brady, who's already, I guess, this was 2011. So he's probably about 8 or 9 years in so far. So that's, it was crazy for him to do that. But then they go into a shouting match on the sideline. And I remember the time because I remember it being all over the news, as you were saying. But when you hear the context of it between the two of them and the fact that all they said was they would fight like brothers, and you know how you fight with your brother. Like, it's just, that's how it is. And then the next minute they're all good. But again, like I said, the media takes that a different way. So, when it comes down to a coach, I like to see him keep it in, but also, there's times where I want to see him pissed off.
Bill O'Brien had times like that as well, where he would be irate on the sideline and he would voice it, and then obviously get into arguments. I'm pretty sure he had arguments like that with DeAndre Hopkins at times. It's not a good look. Obviously, these are just people that can't control their emotions. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Controlling your emotions is not a difficult task at times. Obviously, when you're frustrated, but you have to find a way to be able to control yourself and not be able to act in a certain demeanor that some of these coaches do, because then you become the topic of conversation post-game, and the topic of conversation should be the result of the game, and it should be with you winning. And if it's not with you winning, on top of that, there's issues, and then all of a sudden they're talking about it all week long. You're getting nothing but asked questions about it. How's everything going in practice? And they're just unnecessary questions to be asking and an unnecessary focus to have. Your focus should be at the task at hand, which is to win the next game, not who's the coach going to yell at the next game. I mean, it's just unnecessary. It's childish, and it's immature in the biggest way you could possibly imagine. At this point in your life, you are a professional. You are a grown adult. There comes a time where there's a task at hand. Let's make it happen. I mean, just go ask Belichick.
Yeah.
Just go ask him. You're going to tell me this guy's never been frustrated. He's absolutely been frustrated before.
And it never...
But he knows where to show it.
Yeah, with Belichick, it never goes further on the sideline than him just throwing his hands up and maybe cursing. And, through Man in the Arena, you actually hear, the players talk about how Belichick would go into the locker room, and that's when he rips them, where there's no media and there's no cameras. So that's, and that's what makes him so great, really. I mean, that's one of the things that makes him so great.
For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.